current events analysis part of the broadcast. I like to analyze, what's happening in the world, current events from a biblical perspective in this part of the broadcast, and I also like to look at different, sources of information, and most particularly, I like to look at, in a funny kind of way, in a funny kind of context, the news and cartoons. U.S. News and World Report has ongoing series of collections of editorial cartoons from all over the country that really interesting snapshot, and it's very abbreviated. Hamlet said that brevity is the soul of wit. You know, so it's funny how much you can say and capture in just like with a picture, an image, and some very brief dialogue. So that's why I like editorial cartoons. They're very on point, very interesting and funny. But it puts a lot of things into perspective, and a lot of times the cartoonists are articulating what's on people's minds, which I find very interesting, and some are very very good at it. Um, so I'm gonna look at the last few weeks, just getting caught up on those, and I also, of course, like to analyze or really, most particularly, just kind of do like the headline snapshot of the cutting edge newsletter articles from cutting www.cuttingedge.org, which I've been following for going on 20 25 years, 20, actually longer than that, 20, like almost or 28 years, long time. So yeah, so I want to go over that, most recent news articles that were being highlighted. And the one thing I love about that ministry is that it, focuses on current events from a biblical perspective, prophetic perspective, analyzing prophecy. Is it coming into fulfillment in our current news? And a lot of times it is, and which is really fascinating. So it's kind of amazing to live in these end times, living in the latter days. I'm thoroughly convinced of that. A lot of other people are thoroughly convinced of that. We're seeing all the signs of the end times, as it was in the days of Lot, so shall it be with the coming of the Son of Man. I mean, that's definitely some, where we're at currently. I mean, without a doubt. I don't know how you can look at it any other way. So, I like to, uh, read through those articles, and maybe it's kind of like somebody doing one of the news anchors or something, just doing the kind of headlines, and let I definitely think people should read the articles themselves, the full articles. They're very informative. You know, always referring to scripture for the most part, with different articles, and but giving that very conservative, quote unquote Christian perspective on things, and it's a beautiful thing. So I'm going to go through with the news and cartoons to start. But I just think they're funny, a lot of them, and we're just gonna kind of jump in and start going into the news and cartoons one by one. So okay. Okay, so this has to do with the whole collapse of the SVB, Silicon Valley Bank, which the Federal Reserve, or sorry, the federal government came in and backstopped. Right, they backstopped so as not to cause any potential 2008 financial crisis, domino effect with regional banks and other banks, and but it did wasn't completely successful. Other banks like First Republic and overseas, you have Deutsche Bank, Credit Suisse, definitely affected by the Federal Reserve's global or national, but ultimately having an effect globally. The monetary tightening policy that's happening right now. If you know anything about finance, I've been following the news that the Federal Reserve has been hiking interest rates exponentially speaking for the last year or so, and um, it's causing some issues, some different components and mechanisms of the overall financial system. started buckling recently, you can say. And, major banks, major international banking empires like Deutsche Bank, Credit Suisse, and they have a global reach. Silicon Valley Bank, global reach. So I don't know enough about First Republic Bank, but based on my understanding, it's very much wealth management oriented, very much caters to high net worth individuals. But that was definitely affected as well. So I mean, that was backstopped by some other Wall Street banks, like off the top of my head, J.P. Morgan and maybe Morgan Stanley or Goldman Sachs backed it up. So kept it afloat. So I assure you, unlike Silicon Valley Bank, that my assets are backed up and by magic and rainbows. That's funny. Jeez. Yeah, because Silicon Valley Bank was definitely susceptible to crypto and crypto lending practices and things of that nature affecting their overall balance sheet, and they just were not well capitalized in the traditional sense, and they're very susceptible to market conditionings, tightening of the monetary policy by the Federal Reserve, and it's really a global tightening process or policy that's happening. That's everything the Federal Reserve's doing is affecting other central banks all over the world. They're following lockstep, and it's a global monetary tightening, um, environment right now where rates are going through the roof, to restrict the money supply globally, to, in effect, bring down prices, crush demand, to tackle inflation is the whole process. But in the process, there are definitely some casualties, and SVB is definitely one of them. So anyway, so border is secure, cartels under control. Oh no, jeez. TAI. Not sure TEA. Not sure what that, but anyway, not worried. Bought my shares last week. Banks is probably the SVB CEO supposedly ran off to Hawaii. Oh no, fake president Joe Biden. Just let me see what outlaw drug because your safety is my number one priority. Now get going. You're late for your shift at the slaughterhouse. So, yeah, I don't know. There's some. I think it was I don't know something Florida or some other state. I don't know. They had something. They're clamping down on things like drag shows, Tennessee or something like that. I don't know. No drilling, campaign promise. I don't know. I'm not up on the every single little detail of national news, but go fast and break things, fix it. Yeah. So this is from a few weeks ago. I mean, this is basically almost a month ago. So I was just getting caught up on. That's funny. There's a lot of truth to this. I have to admit, DeSantis gives me everything I want without the crazy. Obviously Trump is kind of crazy. Just saying. Oh no, it's supposed to be Putin, but Colin Yellen. Yep, radioactive, crazy. Just oh no, just yeah. That right now I think is something like I don't know, 38 trillion or something like that off the top of my head. Something like it's so crazy, just so crazy. But we're just moving on here. Gonna just jump. Yeah, I'm not gonna read through everything. I don't know. I just find very interesting and very simplistic and but complex as well with the ability to articulate in an editorial cartoon certain events and just a certain mindset. What's on people's minds right now, like today, this week, and again, this is from a few weeks, from this last few weeks, and I just find it because this is like this DA guy going after Trump. Obviously, he was indicted recently. Major news. He paid off, hush money to a porn star, um, to keep her mouth shut, basically about their affair. Um, yeah, please. Yeah, it's definitely having its impact. I mean, there's a certain truth to the process, the tightening policy of the Federal Reserve, which at this point is like this kind of necessary evil, I guess you can say, because it's so intertwined within our national economy and the global economy. And the Federal Reserve is at this point you can't even like take it out of the mix without basically causing a global economic collapse at this point. It's sad. We should never have had a central bank in the first place. But at this point, we do, and they're all powerful, just like the European Central Bank, and it's just incomprehensible the power in the hands of a few individuals. I mean, they could take out our entire economy. They could jack interest rates to 15% if they wanted to. They have so much power and control over our economy. It's ridiculous. But anyway, it is what it is. Um, my drones will let you track the Ukrainians. For the Americans, I have TikTok. Yeah, TikTok is definitely under pressure. TikTok is definitely a time suck. If you want to call it that. I mean, your brain basically goes into a different state when you watch TikTok, because literally you could spend probably an 5 hours and not even realize it watching TikTok videos, which are just short little clips of videos, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and then it's on to the next. And you watch another one, you watch another one, you watch another one, you watch another one, and literally half the day's gone and you don't even realize it. And I guess they send things to people at different times that they realize that you've been watching videos for 4.5 hours straight, 5 hours, saying you should get up and walk around and get some fresh air, that kind of thing. I mean, it's endless, and there's an endless supply of them. It's a new addiction, whatever you want to call it, the new social media crack, if you want to call it that. So, mega, I don't know, whatever. Another SVB thing. I don't know. Orange jumpsuit, orange face. Just gonna jump to the other side over here. You can't go. You have even clocked in at 9 for work. Okay. Jeez. Yeah, people say that TikTok is some Chinese spy mechanism. Who knows? Probably is. Who knows? Maybe Facebook is. Maybe everything else is. And this computer I'm working on is has a spy mechanism in it. Everything's being videotaped and ends up in some database in China or Russia or something. I don't even know anymore. I'm just trying to fight back against the force of evil here, and whatever happens. But jeez. Yeah, I find these like incredibly interesting. Some of these things. On. All right, let's get this. We stay in Mexico where there's unchecked violence, drugs, or we can cross the U.S. where there's unchecked violence, drugs, and corruption. Yep, there you go. But now they had the guy from Monopoly, the Trump indictment. That's funny. John Fetterman. Oh no. Yeah, he's kind of creepy looking, John Fetterman. People have compared him to what was it? I don't know for the Hunchback of Notre Dame or some crazy thing. I don't know, but he definitely is kind of creepy guy looking. I don't. He's definitely weird. Janet Yellen says the banking system is sound. Yep. Oh no. Piggyback. I had to admit, Stormy Daniels. Oh no. There's a lot of focus right now. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of these crazy mass shootings, people going into a department store or supermarket or school or some crazy thing. And I'm absolutely not condoning anything like that ever. I would never, ever, 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 ever do that. But there is definitely a very concerted effort focused on taking out the Second Amendment once and for all. I mean that is I believe the ultimate consequence of all these different actions. That we're gonna see the end of the Second Amendment, which would be the final nail in the American coffin. Um, I don't know. I mean, it's just sad, to see this stuff unfold in this country. I mean, all the poor people that have died, as a result of all these maniac shooters or they MK Ultra mind control slaves or whatever. I don't know. I don't know all the details. But I find that people are just influenced by things that happen in the mass media. They copycat crimes, stuff like that. That maybe there's some people that are these CIA mind controlled, MK Ultra assassins or something out there, and I'm pretty convinced of that. But at the same time, that other people see that kind of activity, and then they do it themselves. So it's this whole behavioral psychology reality that we're seeing unfold, where we see these copycat type crimes. People are just mentally unstable for one reason or another, taking some crazy psychiatric drugs like um, what is it? What's the name of that? Prozac. Supposedly deals with depression, but makes people psychotic. People take enough of it, they turn psychotic. They see something on the TV, they're acting psychotic, or people think they're psychotic, and then they act out. You know, and it all as a result of this type of herd mentality, behavioral psychology oriented reality of things like mass shootings. People just jump on the bandwagon. They're it's copycat crimes, and it's proliferating as a result. Building up momentum. So who knows? Maybe the CIA, NSA, I don't know. Who knows? Some agency of our government is behind all of it, every single event, or maybe it's just all some kind of domino effect that's happening, and it's sad. So, but hopefully it stops. But I think the end result, everything said and done, is the end of the Second Amendment, and I can't even imagine this country without that in place. Um, it's a cornerstone of our constitutional republic, and once that goes, there goes the country. So there you have it. I don't know what that. It's so weird. I don't know. This one cartoonist, they got some. I don't know. Got a. It's different. It's interesting. more liberal minded, of course. Obviously target. And it's funny. It's amazing how a lot of these cartoonists are one extreme or the other. They're either super liberal, ultra liberal, or they're ultra conservative, and they're attacking one side or the other, and it's pretty apparent. You know, this is interesting. The AI influence, AI whole AI taking over the person there. Yeah, AI, geez, out of control. So 20 to life. Trump 2024, Trump 20 to life. Oh, jeez. RFK Jr. That's a new variable on the street. I mean, I don't know how Biden's going to do another election run. I mean, he's in bad shape. He was in bad shape first time around, but I don't know if he's going to make it a second time around and probably collapse halfway into his campaign. But you better have an ironclad case against him, or he'll turn that into a wrecking ball. Yep, there you go. Jeez. Chicago's disaster. More fundraising opportunities. Jeez. Oh no, the house is taken over by the Roomba and the HAL 9 AI, the near future. He's like, open the door, HAL. Oh jeez. Takes over your house. Hey, anything's possible. I mean, who knows? Changes all the locks somehow. Digital locks, digital security. Some of the cartoonists are very abstract. I mean, I've done cartoons like the film book that I worked on. I mean, the cartoons, but some of these are kind of funny. Like this guy's style is like really distorted, funny. I mean, it's interesting. Everybody draws Trump differently, which I always found very entertaining, especially when he was still in office. I mean, such a wide range of styles that people drew him, but you always knew it was Trump, which is really funny. But the styles were so distinct. Um, this that's funny. Actually, that's it. Yeah. So, yeah. So we're gonna jump to so my what I like to get into for analysis in terms of what's happening in the world. I always like to refer to cuttingedge.org. The website is a newsletter I get, email newsletter, and they're just very good at really. Maybe they don't hit upon every single event that really stands out. For example, like the Dalai Lama a few days ago had some Indian boy came up to give him respect to get have the Dalai Lama pray over him or something like that. And Dalai Lama kissed him on the lips, and then he asked the boy to to lick his tongue or some crazy thing like that, like to kiss his tongue. So it was very strange, very bizarre, very weird. I'd have to say, and very much in the realm of pedophilia and right there in front of everybody, and it went viral. It's all over the place. News outlets picking it up left and right. Of course, Twitter censored it. But realistically, I don't know. A lot of these religious leaders are pedophiles. They are definitely in the Roman Catholic Church. So archbishops, bishops, cardinals. I mean, you name it, are all the Pope. Definitely in that world, or at least help to protect other people in the flock. That are doing that type of thing, and it's just an abomination, absolute abomination, wicked, and it's been going on for centuries. And I mean, based on my understanding in terms of like Tibetan Buddhist monasteries that exist, that there is a certain amount of homosexual behavior that goes on, maybe a large amount of it, I don't know. But there's different things in certain rituals, tantric rituals, where somebody will dress up like a man, or dress up like a woman. So, guy dressing up like a woman. It's very, very disturbing. And, obviously, I mean, homosexuality is considered an abomination in scripture. So, it's not good. So the Dalai Lama making out with a child is kind of really wicked and creepy and unfortunate. So, but it's good that there's a lot of backlash. A lot of people are upset about it, which is great. But then it's a lot of times disregarded. He makes some official statement, or somebody makes an official statement on his behalf, and then everybody turns blind eye, and oh, he's one of the holiest people on the planet, blah blah blah, whatever. But Disney Plus is now depicting an American female publicly worshiping Lord Satan. Okay. What the devil, new Disney show focuses on teen girls' sex with Satan. The report explains the new show is Pauline, and the main character, 18, becomes pregnant from a one night stand with Lucas, the devil. It's the devil himself. Wow, great. Yeah, recently, I mean, there's been a lot of weird stuff. I mean, there's a lot of LGBTQ stuff coming through, like Disney, which is very pro LGBTQ, like the whole philosophy, very leftist, very subversive, if you want to call it that. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, it's pretty wicked. And then there was some recent show, some animated show about forget the one off the top of my head, but it was basically about the Antichrist as a woman performing rituals, and she invokes the devil or something like that. Danny DeVito was in it. I can't think of it off the top of my head. It was pretty. It was shut down, I guess, pretty much very quickly. Disney Plus shut it down. It was this animated show, basically satanic in orientation, which is just awful. And then you have there was something back during Christmas time where they had this thing where these kids were holding up these signs, and it said, "We love you, Satan." But it was supposed to be Santa. But it's really strange. A lot of people look at Disney films as, like family friendly, or they used to be, but realistically, the whole time they've been very much swept up in the supernatural, the occult, witchcraft. I mean, there's a lot of bad influences, but packaged up to be family friendly. I mean, I have to admit, I mean, I went to Disney World a few years ago with my girl, my wife. Um, it was fun, and honestly, there wasn't a lot of the propaganda stuff that you see in the movies and the animated movies and the Disney Plus and stuff that, in the different parks. It's definitely there, but eh, to me, it was just like an amusement park, going to an amusement park. That's my experience with Disney. I had to admit, I mean, at least Disney World, going there, it was fun. I had a good time. A bunch of rides, and I had fun. It really was fun. But at the same time, there's a lot of in the whole complex of Disney, the reality of Disney, there's a lot of propaganda that's put forth. And again, it's packaged up to be family friendly. And then you're constantly introducing these subversive ideas, and you're influencing children growing up. And it's sad. It's very sad. So mankind is moving lockstep toward government of the fearful as they fall into the dictatorship of the government of Antichrist or Anti-Messiah. Yeah. So, top level business executive has just opened a forbidden door, just a huge crack. JP Morgan's CEO, the US government could seize private property. Okay. JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon says the US government may need to seize private property in order to fuel one of its most high profile initiatives. In a new annual letter to shareholders, Dimon made sure to explain the fact that the government agencies could evoke eminent domain and forcibly obtain private property to propel the push for clean energy. So, CEO of JP Morgan poses that America could prosper just fine even if they eliminate private property. Whatever. Republicans have got Democrats fuming in Manhattan as they announce a series of hearings into the manner in which DA Bragg has handled crime cases in the Big Apple. Democrats fume over GOP setting crime hearing in Manhattan. NYC is safest big city in America, I guess. The artificial intelligence camera did not lie. Until AI brain told him to do so, did man create sin at this point? I'm not sure. The camera never lied until artificial intelligence told it to. Okay. Yeah, AI just seems to be growing in power and leaps and bounds. Unfortunately, it's really spiraling out of control. Chat GPT, robots, the robot revolution. You know, sexual robots, things of that nature. I mean, just AI in general, having so much power and influence and, potentially erasing, who knows, millions of jobs in the very near future. I'm kind of questioning whether or not AI is, going to completely eliminate so many programming jobs, jobs that normally would be held by computer scientists, things of that nature, just, computer programmers, because it just seems like, that's the direction it's going overall. Silicon Valley become predominantly AI driven. I don't know. See what happens. But after concluding 3 days of exercise, China issues a proclamation which sternly trumpeted, "We are now ready for invasion." China makes shock move against spineless Biden. China's military declared Monday it is ready to fight after completing 3 days of large-scale combat exercises around Taiwan that simulated sealing off the island in response to the Taiwanese president's trip to the U.S. last week. So, things are getting hot and heavy, really. I mean, in that part of the world, and there's so many different conflicts right now, staged conflicts. It's all orchestrated. You want to look at it like that? I mean, I think so. Leo Zagami, the author, and who's somebody I showcase on this broadcast. He, basically, talks a lot about the strategy of tension. I look at that like in the bigger picture. I'm not sure if he's that's specific for him for specific events or just the overall strategy of tension perspective. Um, I mean, if you want to have implement certain things in the future, you want to control both sides. Controlled conflict brings about controlled change. You always want tension. You have the Israelis, Palestinians. I mean, you have the tension that's existed for centuries, and definitely since the founding of the nation of Israel and the move of the Palestinian peoples into refugee camps. I mean, there's so much tension in that part of the world in Jerusalem. I mean, it's such a hotbed of activity and it's a powder keg ready to blow up, you know? But it's just a continued controlled tension, leading to some culmination and some future literally apocalyptic event. I mean, inevitably. I mean, it's inevitable. It's gonna explode, right? And but you have all these different conflicts all over the world that if they all were triggered simultaneously, I mean, you would have the ultimate World War III, literally. You have China, Taiwan, North Korea, South Korea. You have Israelis, Palestinians. You have, conflict at our southern border. You have obviously Russia, Ukraine for the last year or so. So, it's building, but see what happens overall. Alrighty. I think that's about wraps it up. So, hopefully people enjoyed that or maybe not at all. I don't know, but hopefully they did. All right.